Hey guys, Michael here. I hope that you're all doing well today. This video, I have one of the easiest recommendations for a mod that I've made on this channel because I think this one's going to appeal to almost everybody, or maybe even everybody, at least at some times. So if you're not interested in the full context, just for those of you who only want to know what the mod is and why I recommend it in the short version of all this, the mod that I'm talking about is More Sensical Public Order by Antagonistes. And this is a new mod, and the very short explanation for why I really like this and why I recommend it for people is, yeah, it just makes the public order mechanic, the control mechanic, way more, what's the word I'm looking for, relevant than it is in vanilla. In vanilla, you pretty much only pay attention to public order when it's getting close to -100. This mod actually makes it so that you are incentivized to pay more attention to public order from the full range, every level of control in your settlement. And what I particularly like about it is that it does not have the self-correcting mechanism of vanilla, which I never particularly agreed with, which I don't think is very realistic, where as your public order goes more and more negative, you're actually getting a benefit to your public order. So that's what I mean by self-correcting. This removes that. Does a little bit, as you can see here, as well in addition to that, but that's really the main reason why I think this is going to be such a good one for a lot of people. The combination of those two things, it gets rid of the self-correcting mechanism that never made a whole heck of a lot of sense, and it makes every level of public order more meaningful. So if that's all you're looking for, go ahead and give this one a try. As always, if you have any experience with this mod, please do feel free to go ahead and leave a comment below. But for those of you who are interested in a little bit of additional context, as you know, on this channel, I've made a couple of different videos about different types of control and public order mods in the recent past. And what I've been using for many of my own campaigns recently is a combination of two different public order mods. One of them is the realistic public order, which basically reverses, it not only makes every level of negative public order much more impactful, including really significant debuffs like increased recruitment time, increased recruitment costs, really reduced growth and things like that. But it also reverses that mechanism, that self-correcting mechanism. So as you get more and more into the negatives of public order, it starts to spiral out of control. And so it really incentivizes you to get on top of public order from the very beginning as soon as you take over a new settlement, for example, to not let things get out of hand, because once they get out of hand, it becomes really, really punishing and very difficult to stop rebellions from happening, as well as all the other negative things that happen. So for people who are really interested in like a more challenging experience, I think that realistic public order is a really good one to use. And then combined with that, because that one doesn't do anything for positive public order, I like to say combined with that, then also use Johnny's Improved Happiness, which then gives you a reason to pay attention to the positive levels of public order. It actually gives you some nice buffs for having positive public order, and those buffs get better as you move up in terms of your levels of control. So that combination of those two mods has worked well for me. But again, that's for people who really like the punishing campaigns, the really truly difficult ones. But I think all of us, even those of us who sometimes like those punishing campaigns, there's going to be times where we're not in the mood for something quite that punishing. And then for a lot of people are just never going to be interested in that kind of a punishing experience, because it does definitely slow down your campaigns pretty considerably. Well, that's where this mod comes in. So the funny thing is, when I started the Gorok campaign, I've already had a few people commenting on the public order situation in that campaign, and like we found out in that Let's Play, I have found out the hard way that, yeah, that realistic public order mod is really having a profound impact on that campaign, to the point where I'm not even sure if we're going to want to keep it. I'm going to put it up to a vote in the next episode of that. to see whether or not people even want to keep that mod going, because it is going to slow things down. But yeah, so I was actually thinking to myself, well, if only there were a mod out there that makes the negative levels of control meaningful, because I don't like the vanilla mechanic where you ignore public order up until it gets close to 100. That's, or minus 100. That's really like the only time that you're incentivized to even really pay very much attention to public order, is when it drops down to minus 100. I don't care for that. I mean, don't get me wrong. I know that there are some slight buffs and debuffs that you get at the various levels of public order in vanilla, but they're just not particularly meaningful. So I was thinking, well, if only there was a mod that does still make them meaningful, but it doesn't have that spiral out of control mechanic that realistic public order has. And you know, no sooner do I wonder about that, I checked the workshop, and there's this brand new mod. Again, this is one that has only been on the workshop for less than a week here. So yeah, this is like exactly what I was looking for, and it literally just popped up on the Steam Workshop. So you know, let's chalk one up for serendipity. But anyway, yeah, this is, like I said, exactly what I was looking for. It does the combination of those two things. It still makes the different levels of public order quite meaningful, and it does not. It just removes the self-correcting mechanism that is in vanilla. So I'm gonna go ahead and show here back to inside the game itself. You can see this is on legendary, very hard difficulty. So of course we do have the difficulty level of -8, but as you can see, nothing. Well, there wouldn't be anything related to our control level anyway here, because we're sitting on 0. But let's just go ahead and really quickly here take a look at them. So as you are in the -25 to positive 25, there's no effect whatsoever to public order. The only benefit is your campaign line of sight. Okay, fair enough. I think that's a pretty good neutral place to start out. But as you start to get into the negatives here, you've got a reduction in growth, you've got an increase to your construction cost, you've got a reduction to your income, but it's not that bad. I mean, it's meaningful, but you can live with it, right? But now when you start to drop below -50, when you're in the -50 to -75, now you're seeing the campaign line of sight reduced even more. You've got your growth being reduced even more. You've got your construction cost being increased even more, and you've got your income from all buildings -10%. Now we're talking about noticeable effects at this point, particularly that public order and the growth as well. And then you drop below -75, and you're looking at now there's no benefit to campaign line of sight. I guess the only thing I would say is I kind of feel like, I don't know, I guess you know, I'm okay with it. Never mind. I'm kind of reacting spontaneously here to the campaign line of sight never going negative, but actually I think that's fine. Your growth then -20, your construction costs +12%, your income -15%, and your local recruitment capacity -1. These are pretty meaningful debuffs, and that's before you get to the point of rebellion, and there's no self-correcting mechanism, so there's no +8 to control that you would normally get from being in this range. So I think that's, you know, it's not exactly what I would say profound. It is game altering, but not overly so. It's not overpowered. And then in the positive range, you're going to see the reverse, of course. So you get a slight benefit to growth. This is the 25 to 50 range. A slight bonus to growth, a slight reduction in your construction costs, and a slight improvement to your income. And as you can see, I don't have to read all these out. These are the exact reverse of what you see with the negatives. So you're affecting your growth, your construction costs, your income, and your local recruitment capacity at the very highest level of the negative and the positive. I think it's a pretty good system. I think it's definitely improvement on vanilla. I love the fact that it's not self-correcting. On legendary difficulty, for those of us who really enjoy playing legendary difficulty, you're still going to have your difficulty level modifier, which is in and of itself something that you do have to pay attention to. So you're still going to have reason to sort of have to invest some resources into keeping the public order under control, whether it's stationing armies there to get the military presence benefit, whether it means building the control buildings, whatever it is, you're still going to have some reason to be doing that. You can still now combine this with the slower expansion and settlement supply lines mod if you really wanted that a little bit of additional challenge but don't want to go quite as extreme as what the realistic public order mod provides. So you've got those options as well. But anyway, yeah, I think this is exactly what I was looking for. I guess I've probably said that multiple times now. I just think it's really, really coincidental that this popped up exactly when I started thinking about it. So anyway, as always, thank you guys so much for the comments. Like I said earlier in the video, please feel free to make any comments that you have, any experience that you have with this, or any other observations that you might want to add. And I think I'll go ahead and wrap it up there. So anyway, I will see you guys in the next video.